Hey guys, welcome back to my channel once again, and today I want to talk about updates that never came out. But before I get into the cancelled updates, I just want to give a huge thanks to everyone for all the support you've been showing me lately. Thank you very much, and now let's get into it. So, some people may not know this, but if you go to the Galaxy Wiki page, there is an entire section for updates that were cancelled for whatever reason. Some of them were in the game for a short amount of time and removed, other ones never made it to the game. And I thought it'd be fun just to go over some of them today. So, the first one I think we should look at is the Titan or Repair class ships. The Titan ships were kind of a predecessor to super capital ships. So, the idea is that they were like god tier ships that were even more powerful than super capitals, but in reality they kind of did make Galaxy due to super capitals and prototypes coming out, but it's not quite the same thing. There was a Titan ship that was made known as the Abaddon class Titan, as you can see here with these two images, and the ship was fully working and it was in the dev server for a short amount of time in early 2018. However, it was accidentally discovered by players and Lord tried to shrug it off as it was nothing, and it was never added. I think Titan ships have made a big difference because they are in theory kind of in the game, and super capitals have changed the game forever. So this one's a bit of a weird cancelled update because it's kind of in the game, kind of not, but in my opinion, they made a big difference because I see super capitals as the same thing as a Titan. One of Recurrent's previous projects was a special rocket turret. When it was being worked on, players could find the turret on the Zero in Galaxy development. It was featured a fully rotatable base that would follow enemy ships that it locked onto. These turrets were called Bottom Test Turret 2 and Top Test Turret 2. Basically, these turrets would track your ship. So if you're in a Xenon, you're flying by this ship. Instead of how normal turrets work in Galaxy, when they shoot, they stay in that position, and then they shoot again and snap, these turrets will be tracking you, and then when they shoot, they keep tracking you, so they're going to be more accurate. And I feel like these, in my opinion, wouldn't have made that much of a difference in the game, and I think that's why it was cancelled, because they were kind of pointless, in my opinion. Next was jump gates and sectors. So, sectors with warp gates were going to be a massive update. A lot of work's put into this update, and the update was actually fully functional. It was in Galaxy development for a time, but was later removed. There was going to be 4 main sectors in the Galaxy consisting of mainly different bases and planets all spread out between them. The cancellation reason was this: there just isn't enough communication between places and leads to all new kind of problems. The sector stuff is coded, but I'm holding off on releasing it because I simply do not feel good about it. It opens a whole new set of exploits and greatly changes the flow of the game that up until now can be contained and controlled in a single server. My only real motivation for doing it was to reduce lag, and I think randomizing the NPC bases was almost as effective at doing that. And that was what Recurrent said, or RC. I feel like if this was added to the game, it would be crazy game changing. It would no longer be you're in this one server and you can see everything. If you could jump to different sections, it would be awesome. But I can totally understand what he was talking about with how it would lead to all new kinds of problems. It would be harder to contain exploiters if they're spotted, and it would be harder to catch them if there's all these sectors and gates. So I completely understand why they canceled it. Next we have is Ugly Cars City Planet. So the city planet would have featured a massive city filled with quests, different diplomacy, advertisements, and much more. It really would have been a city. The city would have featured personal vehicle spawning, there would be a civilian class without any weapons, there were a car dealership built, and everything. Developers of this project were Ugly Car, Recurri, Ashirami, Lord Monkey Monkey, Master Plural, and Ariana. I may have mispronounced those names. In fact, I probably did. The developers had made a prototype model of the city back around the Christmas event, but it wasn't until a while later when they actually started making it reality. So, this update was cancelled. According to the Wikipedia, it doesn't say under its description it was cancelled, But I feel like if this is added to the game, or was, it would be crazy. It would be so cool. As you can see as the image on your screen, you have a Tempest docked, and if it's like a neutral space, it could be like a new mega base. That's what my idea is with it, at least. I think it would have been awesome. It would have gave players more of a community, more of an open world feel to the game. However, I could feel like it wouldn't work as well, because I don't know if people would actually put time and effort into going there as much if there's like a war going on outside, because the game as it stands now is basically a sandbox PvP game, and this is more of an RPG sort of aspect. So it would work, but also it would be kind of confusing because it wouldn't really fit the flow of everything. But I do think the concept is really cool. Next is Starbase 3.0. So Starbase 3.0 was Lord Monkey Monkeys and Master Plural Starbase remodel. It was in the game for a short while, but it was removed due to navigation being too confusing. I do remember this being in the game. Of course, I have no footage of it, but I do remember this, and I spawned in once. I'm like, what is this? It looks fantastic. However, in my opinion, the current starbases we have are fine. There is some issues with it not being large enough and ships dock locking each other, but it's easy to navigate and easy to get to your ships. That's what I like about the current bases. However, this remodel, as you can see, does look quite amazing, and aesthetically, it's far superior to our current base. However, its functionality would not be. It's harder to get to your ships because of the size of the base. So in my opinion, I think it's a good thing it didn't stay in the game, but it does look very cool. Next is Ugly Car's 2018 Halloween event. It was basically a storyline between Madam Death and the Grim Reaper. They were the most feared individual beings that existed, together unstoppable. For years, Madam Death has been the keeper of souls in lost space, and her loyal husband has been the one to fetch them for her. They've gone from the solar system to the next, collecting lives, increasing their influence. So basically the idea of this was there was a boss fight. Madam Death's ship was as large as Prototype X2, and it had 50% more firepower than the Grim Reaper, and it had 15k shield and hold. Basically, it was a massive boss fight that would have been in the Halloween 2018 event, and it was not added, clearly, but I think it would have been pretty cool if it was added, but due to the time period of 2018, it may have been a bit too difficult. But overall, I think this one could have been added, and it could have been pretty cool. Next is the UNE Command Station. The UNE Base Renovation. The UNE base has been abandoned for a long time. Well, it wasn't supposed to be anymore. The story would have been that after the alien threat was cleared, the UNE would begin rebuilding the base. The UNE base was supposed to be renamed to UNE Command Station. This would have featured multiple new quests, many new dialogues, and more insight on the entire galaxy lore. So, basically, it would have given more lore into the UNE. There would have been the weapon part audio would have been part of a quest. Civilians would ask you to help around the base. You would have earned credits, items, and stuff like that. So essentially, it was another thing kind of like the Car City, or Ugly Car City planet, where it's a bit more RPG based. However, I again feel like this could fit in the game, but people may not focus on it enough for it to actually be worked on and implemented, since the more people are focused on the PvP aspect of the game and mining and stuff like that. However, I think this is really cool, and I do firmly believe we need more lore between the UNE and Nell in Galaxy. We are getting it with random shipwrecks throughout the maps, but I do feel like we're really in need of some big lore coming out sometime soon. Next is Stealth Bombers. Stealth Bombers were being tested by Ugly Car as an invisible ship. You can kind of think of what a Stealth Bomber would be. They were never added, and I think it's just simply because stealth isn't really a big part of this game. It's mainly about outmaneuvering and strategizing when to attack your opponents. So I feel like Stealth Bombers would have just been out of place, and I feel like that's why they were not added to the game. Next and last is ship modules. Ship modules were being worked on near the beginning of 2018, but progress on it stopped as soon as RC had disappeared and it was presumed cancelled. Ship modules would have included armor upgrades, changing turret slots with the turret you wanted, shield and hull upgrades, speed upgrades, so basically buffing current ships. So it would be like this: I have a Leviathan and you could change out the turrets. Maybe you could get 7k hull on it instead, and if you lost the ship, then you'd have to restart the whole process again. I feel like this wouldn't fit well with the game because it would make the player skill gap even worse, because veteran players with the millions of credits would have these undestroyable dreadnoughts. They already have Azraels and stuff like that. Those are already hard enough to deal with. So I feel like in this theory we got something like this with limited ships, but I don't think ship modules would have fit well in this game, and I'm kind of glad it isn't in the game. But these are just my opinions on the cancelled updates. I'd love to see your opinions in the comments down below. And thank you very much for watching. Stick around for more, and I'll see you around. Later.